This is Delcar's Dungeon Mastery. Check through your dice bag, make sure all your mud dice are colored in appropriately because we're going old school. We're going to take a look at the Mystara Player's Guide, the 5th edition update done by the legendary Mr. Welch. So, belly up to the game table. We're going on a whole world of adventure today. Alright, I'm done doing my one-take nonsense, at least for now, and that's the editor's words. So, I haven't been looking forward to a book so much since the original Unearthed Arcana dropped. Now, I perused the PDF in various incarnations beforehand, but I really wanted to get my hands on the book. And now that I have my hands on the book, I'm happy to share my impressions with you. Now, if you don't know what Mystara is, I can't do it justice. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know if I first heard of the Mystara as a distinct setting from Dragon Magazine 153 or got my hands on one of the Gazetteers, but it was an attempt for reviving the basic rules setting world, and the Gazetteers go into great detail. So, even though I wasn't playing basic, the couple I picked up I genuinely enjoyed. So the book starts out with a useful table of contents, credits where credits is due, lots of great artists in here. Specifically, I can't say enough about Rubus's art. It is phenomenal. And you'll see the gladiatorial fights and the epic halfling, hin. You'll see as you thumb through this. So, table of contents, one big map all stitched together, hex by hex, which honestly, as a dungeon master, this is my favorite style of map. Yeah, it's the most useful and at a glance tells players and the game masters what they need to know. Excellent art of the soon-to-be emperor avenging the death of the last one at the Alphatian Spike invasion, and a quick, well, not that quick, but a timeline of events. So it's going to be throwing names and terms at you, and then very quickly you're going to be learning about the different nations of the world with a 2-page summary, as I mentioned, and a map. 2-page summary and a map. Great evocative art for each of them to give you a taste. Once again, if you see these call-out boxes, there's your actual crunchy stat information. You know, map, bap. Already touched on this. At first glance, I went, you're coming on with, you're throwing data at them, but your average player will thumb through it, see what's mechanically good or what's thematically good for them, and they'll go into it. Now, locations of ill repute. This is barely enough to be more than a rumor. Already touched on that. Lands of Intrigue, the Good Kingdom. Let me really quick touch on the fact that Oberon and Titania are movers and shakers in the world of Mystara. And if you want to be a warlock of the Fae, you'll get to go to sit in front of Oberon himself, and he'll say yay or nay. And having been a guy who ran and had great fun with a Falkenstein campaign, I love it. Again, Rubus's wonderful art, and speaking personally, if my players insist on playing multicultural pals, despite having without them giving me a good reason for everybody getting together, this is probably where they're going to meet. Fair warning, players. Isle of Dawn, Alphatia facing off against Thyatis. Mr. Welch just went whole hog, and the boxed set of the Dawn of the Empires hints at very Romanesque Thyacians. No. It's not a hint anymore. He went full in, and I love him for it. Alphatia with their famous airships. The aforementioned articles in Dragon Magazine are actually from the point of view of an Alphatian prince and his ship going around the world to, because I guess he's a bored second son, and he enjoys cartography. So there's different artists and different art styles throughout the book, and it all works very well. Some of it I prefer. Again, I really strongly love like Rubus's gritty art and even his coins here. He does some good stuff. And Killer Halfling. Halflings are not to be messed with in this setting, and I absolutely love the races of Mystara. Now, the races of Mystara are very traditional. Your gnomes look like gnomes. They don't look like short elves or... is that a halfling or a gnome? I can't tell. No, your gnomes are gnomes. Your dwarves are dwarves. Your elves sleep. There are elven subraces. There's technically dwarven subraces, but you can only play the one because the other one is insane, immortal, and cursed. So, yeah, you're going to be a rockborn dwarf. The elves have their variants, and they're all good and thematic. And your human ethnicities. So those of you who are uncomfortable with the word race and everything, there's a whole lot of ancestry stuff here. And I absolutely love. At first I hated, and now I love. The more I dive into it, the fact that in Mystara there are no half races. You do not have a half elf. You are akin to Elrond. You might have human ancestry, but you're an elf for all intents and purposes. There's 2 different common tongues. Mystara was doing anthropomorphic races before anybody else was. The Shay, going back to my Falkenstein comment, you have all kinds of coolness for... If you want your mysterious, quirky, immortal elf, or if you want to be, I don't know, let's say some kind of detached wanderer that's here for the fun of it and, is a little condescending to humans, but genuinely loves them, the Shay could be a really cool way to do it. Turtles, one more thing that Forgotten Realms stole from another setting. This is their original homeland. Cool little guys. I know what you did there. Now, again, the different artists and the art is phenomenal. And now, my very min-max-minded Sith apprentice / Kohai / now he's my DM. He likes the Armiger archetype, but he hasn't dove into the crunch, and he's not crazy about what you get from the archetypes. What I'm crazy about is how flavorful they are. They are phenomenally good, and they give everybody's culture their own feel and tightness. I really like the Centurion. I like the war leader that, gives out bonuses to other players and, hold the line and pulls everybody together. There's a desert-dwelling druid circle that is very cool for the Yularans in particular. And the bard colleges are great. Absolutely great. I am not going to try to pronounce. I have too much love for the Polynesian culture to have anybody wince while I mispronounce any of this. But the College of the Islands is awesome. And my absolute favorite is the College of Philosophy. Stand-up philosopher. Oh, did you bullshit anybody today? Disciple of the Radiance. Sorcerers. Radiation magic, boys and girls. Radiation magic. Fire wizard. Boom. Specialized. Be a full-on pyromancer. Of the Flamen ancestry, obviously. Gallant. Misha. Gallowglass. You want to be a crazy Scotsman that is fighting for your independence? Cover yourself with blue woad and go bust up a wizard in the face with a giant sword in each hand. The Godai. I think that's the pronunciation. Don't know. Priest of the Northmen. Hin Master. Specialized cleric for the halfling peoples. Horse warrior. Where's the horse? Where's the horse? Anyway, Obviously, Ethengarian, Mongol, fill them with arrows, wheel away, win, repeat, win. Dwarven clerics. Oh, yes, and let me touch on that now. This is very old school. Dwarves cannot be wizards. They can't use arcane magic at all. They are highly resistant to it in exchange. So if you want a dwarven spellcaster, you're going to be a cleric. Merchant Prince Wizard School. Very flavorful, very cool, very, I hate to say cynical, but very practical school of magic that thrives in the two mercantile nations especially. But it's a damn fine wizard's, specialization. Polish Hussars done right. Order of the Griffin. Knightly Order of the Church of Keramikos, the Order of the Griffin. Self-sacrificing order using their powers granted by their mortals to put themselves between danger and their charges. Heck yes. Rake. Now, this is obviously a shay, because nobody else will get away with dressing like that. It is, you want to be a little more bardy without having to deal with music? It's a con man. Let's call it what it is. Looks like a lot of fun. Reaver, Barbarian, basically a nutty berserker pirate. Very cool. Very neat in that you can kind of slot them anywhere, a little less culturally tied, because you will notice that the other races, cultures, they're not barbarians. There may be barbarian outliers, but, there's no such thing as a cultural barbarian. Shamani. Aha, Toa Makai. Do the haka. Get buffs. Destroy your enemies. Repeat. Profit. Tree Keeper, Wizard Archetype. So, you don't quite want to go Druid. You can go Wizard, Tree Keeper. It's elf shit. Don't know what to tell you. Troubleshooter. A trap-specialized rogue that's not necessarily a criminal. So you could get your Indiana Jones on it. And was this stretched wide? I love the art, but this one I look at, every time I look at it, I go, did they stretch that? The Wise Woman Warlock. Spooky northern woman that lives in a cave, reads the runes, and demands sacrifices for knowledge. Awesome. New backgrounds. I barely use or I'm familiar with the 5th edition backgrounds. These seem to work fine. Okay, yeah, sure. Mixed blood. Now, this is the interesting one. This is the very interesting one. You were born of 2 races, a rarity in Mystara. Although you only have one of your parents' features, you have a bond with both of your cultures. If you are a male son, you will take on the race of the male parent. Female will be the female. So, again, going back to, I mentioned Falkenstein, and any of you that don't know Falkenstein, I'm personally excited for this because dwarves notoriously have a lower birth rate and less females. There could be a bunch of human daughters of dwarves out there that are eager to get out, see the world, and it'd be an interesting archetype. And, could be interesting. Could be very interesting. As a half-breed, your other parent's language, one tool of your choice. You have history and insight. And then all you people that got me to watch Goblin Slayer, well, I'll leave that to your imagination. What the hell is sheared? Oh, yeah, the shearing ritual from Traladarans. Pretty cool. There's some cool and very distinct to the setting. Slaves. Slavery is a big thing. Both the empires and the Iron Ring. So, it's ugly, but makes for great adventure. New feats. Again, I have not play tested. I know there's been extensive play testing for the setting. I don't use a lot of feats. I'm so very old school that I'm not. I love that the different gladiatorial schools have specific feats where you fight in that style. And that's nice and thematic. Each of the helmets, just like in our history in Rome, each of the helmets represents a specific culture and fights in a style that evokes the enemy. Immortals. There are no gods on Mystara, asterisk. There are immortals. And the interesting thing about the immortals is each of them was once mortal. And through epic questing, sponsorship, and a hell of a lot of work, became immortal. And in the original rule set, there are rules for you to do the same once you hit max level. Now, because of the nature of the setting, now you will recognize some of these names. There's a little bit of story, you'll recognize some names. Are they the same entity? Is Frey and Freya, Forsetta, are they the same entity that the Norsemen worship? No, yes, not exactly. It's complicated, and I can't do it justice. But you've got some of your old favorites here to throw at people. You've got Orcus, you've got Demogorgon, you've got, Sinbad, that's cool. Thanatos. That's not a I don't, okay, cool. That's intentional. There are blue humans. Different domains for clerics. They all seem to work very well. Magic. Now, Glantry is a heavily magic country, and they make a lot of money exporting things. So you will notice that magic items do not normally recharge. Wands use the alternate rules found on page 141 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Only elves can be Eldritch Knives, so very important rules here. Lots of new cool spells. The Radiance is, again, that radiation that I mentioned, and you can actually be a sorcerer, but wizards gain benefits from the Radiance. But drawing on the Radiance is dangerous. It can wither a wizard. Craft Mage, I'm not sure you'd want to play one, but it sure would be nice to know one. Alchemy, glyphs, Dracology, all these cool things that, again, custom spells, the runes. Nordic rune magic, you can go on wrong term, wrong culture, but you can go on a vision quest. Put yourself through a near-death experience, and if you survive, you can gain a rune that gives you permanent power. It's short rest, long rest stuff. A permanent power, and if you roll well, you get to pick it. If you don't roll well, but it's going to cost you some constitution permanently. But that's epic. Everything costs. Lots of spells. Lots of spells, and they all seem balanced at a glance. Again, I won't pretend I've deep dove. Goods and services. This is something that I really appreciate in any setting. And even if you're not going to play this in the world's most heavily marketed role-playing game, if you're still playing in Mystara, get this damn book, because it's got a lot of things in one spot, in its fingerprints, at your fingertips. You know what I mean. Great markets of the known world. Oh, well, where do I go to get? Okay, cool. Castles and stronghold construction costs. This is something that the companion rules did very well. Hardball. It sounds dumb, but the Alphatians love it. Go crazy. Gladiatorial games. Jousting. Jousting armor. It gives you rules for that really heavy, damn near have to winch them into the saddle armor. And then these are very cool. At the end of the book here, he's got these little, you could almost print them and give them as handouts, especially like these. Mr. Cork. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to touch on that. Go dig it up in the videos. If you want to go to Fantasy Island, you can. Mystara has tourism. I mean it. Mystara literally has tourism, especially in Irendi. Now, mind you, who would not want to go to a fantasy Hawaii? All right, so what Mystara gives you is a great player's book that also gives the DM and everybody else involved a good insight to the world. You've got classes that are very thematic and fit. You've got races that They're not monolithic. There are elves in multiple kingdoms, and they oppose each other. You've got two large empires on the brink of war who are already skirmishing again on the Isle of Dawn. You've got opportunities to fight evil slavers, smuggle people out of countries. You've got evil wizards that rule a country that dissect gnomes and halflings any chance they can to figure out why they resist magic. And just opportunities for adventure abound. It's also the setting for a lot of the classic modules, including the mother of all sandboxes, the Isle of Dread, which could be a great way to start the campaign and ease them into the Minrithrad guilds, or in opposition to them when they come sniffing around the island. It's a good reference book if you decide to go back to basic. It's a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff in here. My recommendation to you: go, get the PDF for free, read it, take a look at it. If it's something you're interested in, take a close look at which nation you're interested in. Pop over to Mr. Welch's channel, watch his video on it, then go get the Gazetteer on Drive-Thru RPG. You'll have a campaign in a box right there. So, am I excited? I'm so excited about it. I got 2 copies of the book, gave one to my DM. So here's hoping I get to play a Hin in Mystara. That's it, folks. I might be doing another review again soon. Let me know if you like this format, if it was too distracting. I backed and got one of the strangest games I've seen in a while, Giant Lands. It was originally going to be under the TSR label, but drama. Until next time, remember, we don't stop playing games because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing games.